Thank you very much for joining me today. It's a really unique time for our industry at the moment. There's a huge amount of change that's going on. And obviously you're at the very early stages of your careers. So I'm really interested to hear more about your insights. So what do you think helps young professionals most effectively when transitioning from education into the workplace?
I think having a very supportive and collaborative environment at Equans has helped immensely. I think coming from university where everything was very theoretically based and being able to be welcomed into an environment where everyone on site, from engineers to managers, have been very helpful. You can ask them as many questions as you'd like.
Absolutely. I feel like that's what helps about being on a scheme, whether that's like apprenticeship or grad scheme or year in industry, because you do have people around you going through the exact same thing. So you can kind of ask them anything and get kind of pointers from them. I think that's really helpful too.
Yeah, you see having like the leaders who kind of like encourage you to be curious and learn from your mistakes. I feel like it's very beneficial, and you can take more risks knowing that you have people to fall back on for like advice or guidance. And for me as a young person, that is something that's kind of very valuable to me and I make the most of.
I think not only the approach but also the mentors that we have available really help that transition. I know I personally had a really good mentor that really put time aside to sort of look after me on site and make me sort of settle into the workplace.
That's really interesting, the mentorship point. Certainly from my perspective, us as leaders knowing how important that is to you.
I think with mentoring is really key to have leadership exposure. Currently I'm being mentored by our divisional CEO, David, and it's been really transformative. Just sitting on the board meeting, contributing, asking questions and seeing how those strategic decisions are made. Just having that experience early on boosts your confidence.
Yeah, and I suppose being mentored like quite closely, it sort of shapes the foundations and you sort of form bonds with members of teams and you sort of start to feel a lot more comfortable within your working environment.
I think that's really interesting. I think confidence is something we should definitely talk about more. So what's been important to you in terms of building that confidence? What's had the biggest impact?
I'd say for me, getting a big responsibility when I started off on the graduate scheme enabled me to be able to do the job I'm doing now. I don't think I would have been able to transition as confidently as I did without having those early on projects in the start of my career.
Yeah, and I think on the back of that, I'd say if you are given opportunities as a young professional, you should always take them, because I was quite lucky that when a couple of years into my career at Equans, my line manager at the time gave me an opportunity to sort of lead on a small scheme, and it was my first one. But I had the support of all my colleagues, and after I'd done that, I felt really empowered that he'd trusted me with it and sort of seen that I was capable of completing that on my own with the support.
It's a really great feeling knowing that like your upper management and senior engineers have that sort of confidence and give you that responsibility, knowing that they trust you to deliver on your own and deliver to a high standard.
Yeah, you see like the feedback you receive as well. When it's constructive, you feel kind of like even more empowered, because like they break down what you done that was right and they say, what can we do to make this even better? And for someone like me who always tries to strive, it was so like refreshing to hear someone else share that feeling where they wanted to see you do well.
I think being trusted with responsibility early on, that's what builds your confidence, because learning theory is one thing, but practicing it in a real life project, that's what makes the learning stick, and that's how you build your confidence.
It's great within the business. You have so many people that are pushing you to go above and beyond and doing everything that they can to sort of go out their way to help you out and give you sort of that boost, that experience.
What would you say contributes mostly to your sense of well-being within the business?
I feel like the managers are really open-minded to diversity or inclusion. I genuinely feel like I can be myself at work. I don't have to fake anything. Obviously, it's harder being a woman, Muslim and a hijabi in this industry, but I feel very supported. I can be myself. Yeah, I think on that point, as a woman in engineering, when I go on the sites, there's not always that many girls that I meet, but everybody on site is always, they never treat me differently. I'm always very included in the conversations.
And also see Equans is a very inclusive company. So me knowing that I can come to work and kind of be myself and be accepted was something that was really vital for me. Obviously coming from education into full-time work, that was something that really stood out to me.